Officially at 100 subscribers. It took me about 4 months to get there, but nonetheless, I got there to 100. I couldn't be more happy and proud of myself. Also, thank you for everyone for your continuous support. It really means a lot to me. In celebration of 100 subscribers, I went down to the Sicilian bakery. I got myself two arancinis, beef, of course. I got myself a nice cannoli. I just scarfed those down. I'm feeling really well. And now to end it off, I'm going to grab myself one of these Zinnichinos, pop this bad boy in, right? Upper decky. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. So I think it's time to strap in, buckle down, and let's get this damn thing started. So, welcome back to another episode of the Cubby Perspective. This episode feels a little bit more special. It just does, right? This episode, we're going to be talking about the topic: is the Cubs' current pace sustainable the entire season? And what can we expect out of this team moving forward? I think it's going to be a fun episode. So, like I said, strap in and let's get started. It's to no surprise that the Chicago Cubs starting rotation has faced many challenges to start the season already. Notably, Justin Steele going down with Tommy John really put a damper on the start of the season for a lot of people, including myself, because Justin Steele's a very good pitcher and he means a lot to this team, right? But the pitching staff has been overall pretty decent following him. Conray stepped up in a big way, was doing good for quite some time, but has started to falter a little bit, posting a 6.18 ERA over his last five starts, which is now moving into the topic of, all right, Colin Ray cannot be trusted any longer, right? Ben Brown, who knows what you're going to get out of him? Cade Horton, still a rookie. Matthew Boyd, his injury history. So the Cubs are definitely moving in the direction of we need another pitcher on this team, right? So who do you think we could get, right? I threw out there Paul Skeens, but in reality, that's a big stretch, right? I don't know if the Cubs are going to make that big of a splash. But there are some other options the Cubs can make that could definitely bolster this pitching staff, such as Zach Allen, such as Merrill Kelly on Arizona or in Arizona. Arizona's not doing that well this year, so you could see potentially one of them come to the north side, which would be astronomical for this starting pitching staff. All right, so let's talk about how the starters' ERA are looking on the season, if they're doing good, if they're doing bad, or what's going on. So starting off with Jameson Taillon. Jameson Taillon has a 3.76 ERA. That's kind of what you expect out of Jameson Taillon. It's not bad, right? It's actually a fairly good ERA. But, can you trust Jameson Taillon for the entire duration of the season? Who knows? Can you trust him in the postseason? Who knows? Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd has been absolutely incredible for us. That 2 years, $29 million is looking like an absolute steal right now. Has a 3.08 ERA, right? That's a very good ERA. If he keeps that up, the Cubs are in business for sure with him. Cade Horton, 3.98 ERA. Not bad for a rookie, but, he's only made, 4 starts in his career. So, that number, I expect that number to fluctuate up and down a lot. Right, there are going to be some games where he looks good. There's going to be some games where he looks bad. That's just what happens with a really young pitcher. And same with Ben Brown. Ben Brown has a 5.72 ERA. You could argue that Ben Brown and Cade Horton are kind of at the same level of play at the moment because Ben Brown was sidelined with that freak neck injury the entire season last year. So and then we had Drew Pomeranz, as our fifth starter right now, I guess. That is just no, absolutely not. You don't go into if that rotation holds the entire season, you're going to see, this bull or the starting pitching staff eventually blow up, right? But we do have Shota Imanaga coming back, which is absolutely huge because that would bump Pomeranz out of the rotation. Colin Ray, I didn't even add him because I don't think he's going to really be starting that much longer. I'll be honest. I think he's going to work more so back into the bullpen as a long relief arm, which he could be very effective for us. But yeah, right now with the way the rotation is, I don't like it, and I don't think that is sustainable. So I think the Cubs desperately need Shota and Managa back, and I think the Cubs absolutely have to go out there and grab another pitcher off the market. Zach Gallen has been struggling as of late, but the last few seasons, Zach Gallen's been one of the better pitchers in baseball. You might be able to get a good package on him because he's been struggling at the moment, right? So you might be able to save a few prospects, which typically you'd have to give in return. So Zach Gallen would be awesome. But Merrill Kelly at the same time would also be great. He would definitely cost less considering he's getting up there in age. He's like 36, but he's pitching really good this year. So now all of a sudden, if you have a pitching staff of Shota Imanaga, Zach Gallen, and or Merrill Kelly, Matthew Boyd, Jameson Tyone, Kate Horton, right? Have Ben Brown start a few spot starts here and there, right? That looks like a pretty damn good rotation that could definitely get you sustained success throughout the entire season. So I think the sustained success for the pitching staff is relying on the Cubs going out there, grabbing another guy off the market, and Shota Imanaga coming back and remaining healthy for this team for the rest of the season. Despite all the challenges as well with the bullpen starting off this year, absolutely horrible. Seeing Ryan Presley absolutely implode start after start and all that kind of stuff. The bullpen wasn't looking good, right, at all. And it was looking like the Cubs needed to make some huge changes to the bullpen. But as of recent, the bullpen has been absolutely lights out. And that even goes for Ryan Presley. Um, Over 19 and two-thirds inning, the Cubs bullpen has put up an astonishing .46 ERA. Yes, you heard that right. .46 ERA. That has been by far the best bullpen in baseball over the past 20 innings, and it's not even close. Can this bullpen keep going, right? Can it continue? Obviously, you're not going to have the success of what the bullpen's seen right now for the entire season because that's just not possible. But can the bullpen pitch a lot better than what it did? I think I'm definitely on the fence with that. I really am enjoying Daniel Palencia as our closer. I feel like he finally found his footing with the Chicago Cubs, right? He was, he had a lot of control issues last season, was gone down to AAA. Obviously, they worked something out with him, tweaked his mechanics a little bit because he's been really good. He throws strikes, he throws hard, pinpoints location. So he has been very good. So I do like Daniel Palencia as our starter. It's nice having a flamethrower instead of a guy throwing 91 miles per hour. So I think our closer can sustain the entire season. But do we have enough depth in that bullpen to really get us there? With Ryan Brazier coming back, I like Ryan Brazier. It was actually kind of crazy that the Dodgers ended up DFAing him. When you think of a player getting DFA'd, that means they're bad, but the Dodgers were so unbelievably stacked that they had no choice but to DFA Ryan Brazier. Ryan Brazier could have started on any other team in this league and, would have been a main guy. So the Cubs got lucky with him. So I really like Ryan Brazier. Brad Keller's really turned his season around. His baseball savant page, if you look it up, is all red, which means he's throwing very, very good at the moment. He's throwing with accuracy, with velocity. He's getting some whiffs. He's reducing his walk. So I like Brad Keller. Colin Ray should be moving back into long relief. So I think the Cubs bullpen is definitely on the up, but I would still like to see them go out there and grab another arm that can be effective. And I'm not saying you got to unload the entire farm system for a top of the line, bullpen piece, but it would be nice to have another good arm in that bullpen, right? Because you can never have too much pitching, and that's just a rule of thumb for baseball. Gotta load up on pitching on the team, in the minors, depth, everything, because injuries happen so often with pitchers, right? That you need a constant revolving door of these guys. So yes, I think the bullpen could sustain, right? But I would like to see him go out there and grab another person. Last but not least, let's get into the offense. Is the offense sustainable for the entire season? And that's a resounding yes. I don't think the Cubs really have to do all that much with this offense. Quite frankly, I don't even think they got to go out there and trade for a bat because this offense is doing remarkable. The batting average, the Cubs rank second in MLB with batting average, trailing the Dodgers. The Cubs batting average sits at 261, where the Dodgers sit at 268. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good. Home runs, they're tied for fourth in the league with 80, right? There's a lot of guys on this team who are doing really well. Tucker, PCA, Suzuki, hell, even Dansby Swanson. With all the shit I talked about Dansby Swanson, doing really well there, right? WRC plus, weighted runs created plus, right? The team has a WRC plus of 120, which is very good. That's third in the league. That means the offense is doing really well. So I don't think the Cubs really have to do much. From the offense standpoint. Some standout players for the Chicago Cubs are obviously P. Crow Armstrong. No one expected P. Crow Armstrong to have the season that he has. Obviously, his floor ceiling is incredibly high, but this is just downright disgusting what he's doing. He is a dark horse candidate for MVP, right? I'd like to see him cut back on those strikeouts, and take more pitches and walk more, but I'm not going to really complain considering how good he's done. At just 23 years old, he has 15 home runs, right? Incredible. Seiya Suzuki leads the league with 52 RBIs. That's crazy. And I thank Kyle Tucker for that. I really do. Nico Hoerner has a 301 batting average. This is the type of player that Nico Hoerner has to be for the Cubs. He's not going to drive in runs. He's not going to really take walks. What he is a nice slap ball hitter. He can find those gaps, get those dinks out, in the outfield. And he's a really clutch hitter for the Cubs. This is the type of player the Cubs absolutely need out of Nico Hoerner. Not previous years where batting 270, 260, right? If you're not going to hit homers, you got to get on base a lot, right? And that's what he's doing. Kyle Tucker, don't got to say much. Kyle Tucker's incredible. He has an OPS over 900, right? The best OPS on the Cubs. That's pretty remarkable considering all the buzz that PCA and Seiya Suzuki are getting this year, right? But Kyle Tucker still leads that charge. He has almost a 400 on base percentage, which is huge, almost 100 points over PCA, right? Striking out, not that much. He's taking his walks, still hitting for power, some pop. He is going through a couple injuries. He was banged up this past weekend with an elbow injury as well as a finger injury. So we'll see if he's going to be in the Washington Nationals series. But yes, Kyle Tucker has been remarkable for us. And last but not least, Michael Busch has been pretty damn well for us. A WRC of 141 plus, over 205 plate appearances. Great. Can't really complain. Michael Busch, you don't really hear too much about Michael Busch because he does a lot of things right, and he's overall pretty consistent at that. Plays good defense, runs the bases well. He's not going to hit you 40 homers a year, but he'll probably get you around 20 on that year. He draws his walks and stuff like that. He does an overall good job of limiting his strikeouts. Batting 266 on the season, right? On base at 366. That's insane, right? Michael Busch is really coming into his own. And I expect him to get nothing but better. Even next year, I expect Michael Busch to continue to get better. Michael Busch this year is definitely hitting lefties a lot better than he did in previous seasons. So if you see Michael Busch start hitting lefties, league, watch out because this guy's going to be a mainstay in Chicago for a long time. But yeah, truly insane what the Cubs are doing right now offensively. They're averaging, over 5 runs a game, which is one of the league's best. So this offense is definitely sustainable. You're going to see this offense continue to be sustainable because the Cubs have a nice, healthy mix of veterans as well as young, explosive talent in their game. So, and I also think offense kind of feeds off of each other, right? So you're seeing, all of our main guys do really well, and you're starting to see other guys who don't typically do that well, such as, Hoerner, Swanson, even Miguel Amaya and stuff like that, really start coming into their own. So the Cubs offense is rolling. It's going to be one of the best. I believe the Cubs have the best run differential in the National League, right? They're tied for first place with the best record in the National League, and their hitting has definitely carried this team. So yes, that is sustainable. Longer video today, but it had to be done. There was a lot to talk about for the bullpen, starting pitching staff as well as offense. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know down in the comments below whether or not you agree with some of the stuff I said. If you disagree, if you agree, all that kind of stuff. I love feedback of all sorts. It could be negative. I still like the feedback because it really checks myself, right? If someone gives a negative comment, guess what? I'm going to look into that comment and see whether or not I'm right or wrong there. So that's only going to make my knowledge a lot better on the Chicago Cubs. I'm not saying disagree with everything I say just to disagree, but you guys get the picture. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, keep the faith. Go Cubs, and I am the Cubby Perspective. Have a good day.